Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and this one's going to be a pretty quick one. It's not going to be an hour-long or 30-minute broadcast, but what it is going to do is it's going to illustrate the ever-growing amount of lies that the mainstream media has thrust upon you via this COVID-19 84 narrative. Now, the narrative went something like this 5, 6, 7 months ago. That only about 30% or so, sometimes 20%, were going to resist taking a vaccination for COVID-19. Now, fast forward to the vaccine now being available, and forget about the general populace that they're already saying is extremely skeptical of this. We now have numbers in the range of 60% of health workers don't want to take it. 60% of health workers don't want to take it. It's not front page news, is it? And it's not like they're interviewing 6 out of 10 healthcare workers and asking them directly why they wouldn't take the shot. Now, we've played the healthcare worker that developed Bell's palsy. We've played the health worker that no one seems to be talking about over 2 weeks ago taking the vaccine and having such a reaction that she was hit with epinephrine once and then again. Immediately after, within moments, she developed a rash and a reaction, and she had no previous, and we'll play that clip again because we have to, no previous allergies or side effects to this type of stuff. She gets hospitalized. Again, everyone wants to talk about the nurse that passed out. They refuse to talk about that health worker. Meanwhile, one of the features here that I've been talking about is that in Texas, they're having sporting events. There aren't super spreader events. We showed you in the last broadcast the Canelo Alvarez fight. Well, guess what? Garcia versus Campbell just ended in Dallas, Texas. Same thing. Same thing. Thousands of people in the stands. Literally just ended. I just watched it before I went on air. Okay? So they're having events with people. And meanwhile, we're going to show you the CDC's own numbers that show once again that this idea that we've had 300,000 excess deaths in 2020 is a complete farce by their own numbers. At the end of the day, when all is said and done, folks, the number will actually be somewhere in the 50 to 100,000 more deaths than last year range, but it should remain at the 0.9% it was in the previous years of 2019, 2018, and 2017. From 2016 to 17, it actually jumped a full 0.8 to 0.9. It actually had a death jump of 70 plus thousand. All right, but we're going to show you all those numbers because we can, because they're out there, and they paint a very different picture than what you're hearing in the mainstream. So thumbs the video up, subscribe, share. Remember, I couldn't do this without you. We're fully demonetized on this platform. Almost 10 months. I am heading out to DC. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to hit the road until the 4th. I'd love to be able to hit the road tomorrow. Probably not going to happen. But again, with all the snow, with my Ford Fiesta, I'm not sure whether I'm going to have to rent a car or not. But again, if I rent a car for DC for 5 to 7 days, it's another $1,000 that I'd really love to not have to spend. But again, with you guys' support, $5, $10, $15, big donors, you mean the world to me. I really do appreciate it. Again, we couldn't do this several times a day without you because YouTube has deemed me harmful content or borderline content or whatever. And I still need you to thumbs it up, subscribe, share, give other people this information, and we're going to go kicking and screaming. But the bottom line is I need you on alternative platforms like Rockfin, crypto exploding right now. Bitcoin well above 30,000. Like I said, if it hit 30,000, last week when I did the video, I said if it hits 30,000, the sky is the limit. And Ether is now up above 750, still a long ways off from its all-time high. That should be catching up soon. And because of this and the intrinsic value of the Ray token that I get paid with in Rockfin, that just hit another all-time high literally 5 minutes before at $2.35. In fact, if you've got a Coinbase wallet and you've got an Ether address and you're not swapping out for some Ray, you're missing out. You could do it on the Kyber Swap network. All the documentary films, they're free in the playlist section right now. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and of course, Shade the Motion Picture. So important right now. I really need you to check all those documentary films out if you haven't. So here we go. Up to 60% of U.S. health workers are refusing to get COVID-19 vaccines over fears of side effects. Oh. How about that? Now remember, they were selling you that like 70% plus of the entire United States population wanted this vaccine, needed this vaccine, was ready to roll up their sleeves. And Anthony Fauci says that we might need a 90%, sorry about that, there it is, a 90% vaccinated or infection rate to get herd immunity. Unheard of before COVID-1984. But let's see how much hype this gets in the United States. In fact, the headlines are already saying like troubling amount of healthcare workers don't want it. Really? Could it be because of things of this nature? CDC should warn people that the vaccine won't be a walk in the park, from Sandra Freihofer of the American Medical Association. All right? For both Pfizer and Moderna. We've been playing that. How about this? How about this healthcare worker? Again, you didn't hear about this. This is on the 17th, 2 weeks ago. If you watch this program, you know about it, but how many others knew about it? And of course,
the Pfizer vaccine, the first severe allergic reaction has been reported in the U.S. It happened to a healthcare worker in Alaska. The woman had no history of reactions, and it's not known if she has any other types of allergies. After getting the vaccine, the woman had shortness of breath and a rash within minutes. She was given a dose of epinephrine and responded immediately, but later needed another dose of it. She is being monitored at a hospital during.
So this is in Alaska, hit with it twice, stayed in the hospital overnight for observation. I wonder why the healthcare workers don't want it, right? So weird. 88-year-old dies hours after vaccine. Why are you giving an 88-year-old this vaccine in the first place? Right? Okay. Doctors stress he was seriously ill. Why in the world would you give anybody some kind of vaccination that you know could have some kind of an adverse reaction to a very ill 88-year-old man? All right. And I believe that this is this is out of Israel, right? This is in Jerusalem. That's not the only one. We've got another elderly gentleman who was 75 years old. All right. And he also died of a heart attack after getting the COVID vaccine. Again, these aren't headlines all over the place. Meanwhile, the restrictions are getting greater, and we're going to show you those numbers from the CDC, okay? Where Boris Johnson suggests that you might not be able to see your children in the UK if you're a single parent because of COVID-1984.
What is the government's guidance to single parents who have regular contact with their children who live in a different county? I live in Kent and my son lives in Essex. What should I do regarding contact if Essex or Kent were to be a higher COVID alert level and the other remain at medium?
Well, Christopher, I think the guidance, alas, is that if you should go on the website, obviously, and check. But when places go into a higher tier from the basic medium, then there are restrictions on household contact, alas. So depending on how you define your household, you may find there are restrictions. But you really need to go onto the website to see where what's going on in Kent and what's going on in Essex in order to be absolutely sure.
So yeah, you can't see your kids. Meanwhile, this video I finally got sent. Somebody mentioned it in the Ask Me Anything, and this is total insanity. This is a family getting together, six people in I believe outside of Montreal in Canada.
No, sir! No, sir! Fuck you! Fuck you! No, sir! Fuck you!
You see what's going on here? People trying to celebrate a holiday together have now become criminals. Is that okay with you? Dragging them out of their homes. Real police officers. Every single one of these people should have their badges taken away, and they should be charged with criminal activity for what they have done. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not going to play the rest of it because it was so damn disturbing, but you can go check it out on Facebook. But now what I do want to show is this, okay? And I'm going to read it word for word because it's so important, and I'm going to show you the numbers. With all of those that spouted the lie that we had 300,000 excess deaths in the U.S. now admit that they were wrong. Probably not. They're so intellectually dishonest and utterly hypnotized by the TV, they no longer have the ability to critically think for themselves. But here it goes. Actual numbers from the CDC. 2016, now remember I told you, from 2016 to 2017, it actually goes from 0.8% to 0.9% as our population grows every year. Okay, so every year the population's getting a little bigger. I'll show you the actual CDC link that's here. Now, if you've noticed, the jump right now from 2016, which is 2,744,248 to 2,813,503 is actually more than we're seeing from 2019 to 2020. But what you do see is a constant increase in deaths, not a decrease. Not a decrease. And it was because of this that when I was arguing with people months ago that were already spouting the Johnny nonsense that 300,000 extra people had died in the United States, that I said this. So what does this mean? Well, I stated months ago when people were claiming already that 300,000 were more had died than that we would probably see 50 to 100,000 more deaths this year in the U.S. Not only because of the virus, but because if you look at the chart, deaths have increased slightly each year, and the death rate itself jumped from 0.8 in 2016 to 0.9 in 2017, and has remained as such since. It's fourth grade math, people. Seriously. Now, I think it's important before I go to this to show everybody, again, that the CDC is literally on their own website, okay, claiming that in week 51, okay, last week, not week 52, week 51 of December, of the year, but yes, in December, the third week of December, right up until Christmas, that we had 27 cases of flu in the entire country, 18 influenza B, and 9 influenza A. That's what they told you. This is the CDC's own site. Okay? They clearly have been lumping in, and they'll tell you this, COVID with pneumonia and flu. It's on their own site. Anybody can check it out. Now, they'll constantly tell you how you have to read the data. Okay? But why don't we just read the data for ourselves? It's right here. Now, this was updated 2 days ago. It will be updated again. I would say that we'll probably see a higher number, but still in that under 100,000 range, I would assume. Now, all deaths involving COVID-19 is 303,000. Now, obviously, when you say involving, that means there's a plethora of other things. And that's not an excess death rate because, again, you only have 2,913,144. In order for that to be a reality of 300,000 excess deaths, we would have had to be at about 3.1 to 2 million. We're not going to get there. When they update this data in the next few weeks, it's not like they're going to lump 200,000 more deaths on there. But what they won't discuss is what the ratio of overdoses and suicides went up. But in San Francisco alone, you had a 30% increase. We've done this already. 621 people dying in San Francisco of drug overdoses. Meanwhile, they only had 173 deaths supposedly from COVID. And if that's involving COVID, then whether or not they actually died of COVID is a totally different thing. Okay? We now know that. And when you only had 441 drug overdoses, and this is 621 with, I think there was a couple weeks to go, you're talking about a 30% increase of ODs. So when are we going to be intellectually honest with each other? All right? Meanwhile, the Odessa mayor is doing what? He's trying to look towards solutions. He's trying to look towards people like Richard Bartlett, okay? So, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for me. Anybody can do fourth grade math. It's literally fourth grade math, folks. And anybody can go to my Facebook page right now or go to my Twitter and find that link and show it to people. And again, if they're still in denial, what can you do? They have been so brainwashed and hypnotized by the mainstream media, they can no longer functionally, critically think for themselves. They are childlike. They might as well believe in Santa Claus. So $5, $10, $15, big donors. Couldn't do it without you. The donation link is down below. Really need your support, guys. Thumbs the videos up. Subscribe, share. Obviously, we've been demonetized on this platform for 10 months. Obviously, they in no way are going to review my channel. They won't even review my thumbnails. Okay? They won't even review my thumbnails, folks. Period. They won't. Loose Change Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order to Find, and Shade the Motion Picture are free right here, right now. And Rockfin. We're usually doing it at 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, exclusively on Rockfin with a free account. Next week when I'm in DC, it might be a little different, but we'll see where it goes. Guys, I absolutely love you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the flip side.